Hey, what's up everyone? I wanted to go ahead and share a few reality shift slash deja vu situations that have happened in the past several days. So this woman was sharing a situation with us about when we went to Waffle House. This lady was sharing a situation with us about how her husband got shot and killed by the police right in front of her in his yard in front of their child. And she said their child developed PTSD syndromes from it, and he got a form of autism and wouldn't speak for years because of the trauma that it gave to him, and which is really sad. And the police just walked up on the property and shot her husband right in front of the child. And here's the thing about that story is that woman, both Mama and I remember going to that Waffle House, meeting Daddy, just like we did then for his truck driving job. We met up with him and brought him some things. It was during his break time, 10-hour break. And we remember that entire story already being told to us by that woman. It was deja vu. And she told us the story about how... And what was interesting was the elderly couple that was behind us. Here's what had happened right before then, though. The key that I used at the house. First of all, we were both really upset. Energy was high that day. I was dark and upset, high strung. The keys disappeared. By the time we got to the Waffle House, the house key that was on the Nissan key was detached from the truck key, and it had disappeared. Well, I look everywhere for it. I go back to the truck, and when I go back to the truck, open the door, the key falls from the ignition, from the ignition area into the next to the key ignition. And that was not the truck key, the Nissan key with the house key on it. Now we've had other copies made, about 5 copies of the house key, spent $10 and had 5 copies made of the house key, so we make sure to have extra copies. Went to the local Home Pro. We went to the local Home Pro just 5 miles north of here, and whoop, sorry kitty. Kitty. I did not mean to knock him down like that. He's like, well, thanks, how do you do? Anyway, they fixed the keys, so we have some more extra keys now, some spare keys. Anyway, we were so high-strung that day, and the keys just reappeared. I brought them to Mama, and there was this elderly couple that sat down behind us, and I could feel this weird vibrational energy from them. This woman, I felt this constant like a vibrational energy from behind me. And I was like, what in the world? Is her phone vibrating? Well, there was these 2 elderly people. And they looked back and they smiled at us and waved, and we smiled at them. And Mama said they looked so familiar. And they were about an 80-year-old couple or so. And they looked super familiar. That's the start of the deja vu situation. Really, the whole thing about forgetting the keys and everything was a whole situation of deja vu, to be honest with you. Well, then I noticed, wait a minute, I was like, the keys suddenly just fall down, and then when I go in there, the elderly couple looked familiar, and they waved at us like they just knew us, and we waved back at them, and I was just having a crisis of faith, and I was looking at the sky like, why? But we said a prayer, and we said a prayer for balance, and to bless the food for digestion, and all of that. Thank the Lord for the food, and all of that, and blessed it for digestion. And as we're getting finished eating, the waitress informs us that those people had paid a meal. The elderly couple behind us they took care of our meal. They paid the entire meal. They paid the entire $50 meal, the entire thing. They paid for it, and I was like, wow. We were just like, wow. I wish we could thank them. And she said, yeah. And the guy next to us said, nice, isn't it? And he said, you don't see that much. And I said, yes, that's a blessing. But yeah, the elderly couple waved at us on the way out, and we didn't know they had done that. But that whole situation had happened before. And that couple First, it started off with the keys disappearing. That had happened before, reappearing. Then there they were. Then the elderly couple looked familiar. Then that vibrational energy came from them. That whole entire scenario had already happened. Mama even felt it. Mama said, you know what's weird about this? Is she said, I knew that woman had already told us that story about her husband getting shot. And I went back in there and I gave her a large tip because of the situation and everything. And, well, I gave her a 10. I gave her $10, and then I said I'm going to give her a 1 for $11. But the whole thing feels like that it had happened before from both me and my mama. So the woman told us a story about how they only get paid at Waffle House. They only get paid $2.50 an hour. And then they take part of it out saying that they get to eat. They get to eat food. So they don't actually, that because they get to eat food, they take that out, they dock that from their pay. And she's like, they don't get to eat, they have to work constantly. They don't get to just take a break and eat all the time. But they said because they work at a place with food, they put on their payment that they take it out of their pay that they eat there. She said, that's ridiculous. And I said, that is ridiculous. And she said, it is. But I felt like that whole thing had happened before. The whole situation, I'm talking the whole situation. The entire 2 hours of that night had happened already. The entire time had happened already. Except for part of it. Except for parts of it. But part of it was a repeat. Deja vu completely. The woman already told us that story. Told us about how little they make. And then we get us giving her that tip. The elderly couple paying for the meal. The elderly couple there. First of all, it started out with, that couple looks familiar. That elderly couple looks very familiar. And then it was deja vu from there. It was just complete deja vu from that point on. I mean, the entire thing was already, had already happened for us. And that woman telling us a story about how the cop shot her husband right there in front of them, and then the telling me the story about how little they got paid, and then except the new part. The only new part was the thing about that $15 an hour story, saying that it won't count for them because that corporation has a loophole where they don't have to do that. And that's the one new thing. The woman next door's cat just came home. It was wandering through the hill right there and decided to come home now. But her cat just came home. Anyway, that's what happened. That whole situation was deja vu. Deja vu. I've actually had deja vu of deja vu. Now, that's a super trip. That's super trippy right there. But it's something, really. It really is something. When you experience something like that. I mean, that whole situation had happened I don't know how many times. Except for parts of it. My father, he has actually almost been shot by a police officer. Actually, so many times things have happened, but where they would threaten you. There's good and bad police. There's good and bad cops. But an officer, a jerk, had followed us home. And he followed us and tried to claim we made one wrong move. Tried to claim over in that area right over there that, oh, we didn't make one right move. You know, we made a wrong move right there, and we didn't turn into the turning lane. And then my father said, I've been working all week. I'm going in the house. And he said, who's that back there? I said, it's me. It was myself. I mean, I was the one in the back. I was in the back seat. And they were like, who's that? And I was like, they said, that's my son. And and then Daddy got out and said, I'm going in the house. This is my house. And right as he got right there at the porch, right there, the cop said, I'm going to shoot. He said, sir, he grabbed his gun and said, sir, I'm going to shoot you. I will shoot. And he's like, oh, go ahead. Like, just try it. And boy, if that had happened, we'd have had such a big lawsuit on him. If they would have even done anything about it. But they have gotten by with some horrible things. Police have gotten by with some horrible things in the past. But no, not all police officers are bad, obviously. But many of them have taken advantage of their position of authority way too many times. On many different people. And in many different situations. But the officer then later was like, oh, okay, I see this is your address. Well, you failed to turn. It was out of his jurisdiction anyway. He was another county's cop, not even ours, not even our county. And he said, I'm going to let you go with a warning. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, we didn't do anything. He claimed we failed to go into this, to the right lane first before turning into the turning lane. It's only a small section. I mean, it is a small section. And we do that every time now just to make sure, but still, it's crazy. He just wanted to find something on us. But Addie was asleep in the passenger side. He was super out of it because and then he turned his blue lights on as we pulled into our driveway. That cop did. And he had literally almost shot him right there in our driveway, right here in the driveway. Anyway, so that's a story that happened to us. But that deja vu, that's something else. I'm telling you, deja vu, when you experience deja vu, it's something that is just, I mean, it's something that you just can't forget. You cannot forget deja vu. You just can't forget it. You can't, it's something that's hard to explain. A memory of a memory of a memory that has happened over and over again, and you've experienced it, and it's like, it really is. Especially when they've happened multiple times and not just you have a memory of it already happening once before. But anyway, peace, much love, and I'm not fully better, but today we are slightly better, so thank goodness. Alright, that's all for this video. And I did have a blackout spell yesterday. We got some food. It's expensive to buy food that's supposed to be healthy. It is very expensive buying food that is supposed to be healthy. But anyway, I'm going to head on in the house. Head on back in before the pouring rain comes in. Peace. Signing out.